Hello, and a warm welcome to my regular listeners and those joining us for the first time. Thank you for being here. I am Peter Doherty, a Catholic priest and a psychologist, passionate about the deep connection between psychology and spirituality. For too long, these fields have viewed each other with suspicion. This is ironic, isn't it? Healthy psychology strengthens our spirituality, and true spirituality, rooted in solid psychological health, offers profound meaning and resilience in our lives. In this short podcast, I explore the gospel reading for the coming week. It is a resource for preachers preparing homilies and sermons, as well as anyone teaching or studying Scripture. I draw from psychology articles, Scripture scholarship, and anthropological insights to make the Gospels relatable and alive. I see Scripture as guides for faith and spirituality. Biblical writers viewed history differently from modern historians, and these texts are richly layered. There's always more wisdom to uncover. If this helped, please subscribe. Share a question or comment. I love the conversation. And if you're on YouTube, hit subscribe and let me know where you're tuning in from. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome my listeners from Osborne, Virginia. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Thank you for joining me. This week's Gospel for March the 15th, 2026, is John, chapter 9, verse 1 to 41, which is the story of the gaining of sight for the man born blind. In today's Gospel, we have several lengthy discussions about a healing. It is unusual, as we have so much more detail about the conversations about the miracle than the miracle itself. It's noteworthy to see the extraordinary lengths the Pharisees go in order to dismiss Jesus. It's obvious that the lesson here is found in the dialogue between the former blind man, who sadly remains nameless, and the Pharisees, and the conversation between the blind man and Jesus. There are significant differences. The Pharisees are fixated on the fact that Jesus healed a man on the Sabbath, and are missing the more significant and obvious miracle of a man being given the opportunity to see for the very first time. The Pharisees clearly have an agenda and rigidly hold on despite the facts, and it is clear that their perspective is literally missing the bigger picture. They are clearly not being objective and find ways to dismiss the reality that is unfolding around them. The conversation between the man and Jesus is ironic. The man who was once blind has not only gained his sight, but is able to see more than the Pharisees, who have always had their sight. This gospel is a textbook account of the defense mechanism of fixation, which is a form of displacement. What were the Pharisees defending themselves from? Anxiety, perhaps? They were given strong evidence that Jesus was at the very least a prophet, a holy man. Perhaps in time they would see him as their Messiah, someone they had been waiting for all their life. Like the man born blind who regained his sight, the Pharisees must see the Messiah as the one they have been waiting for all their life. Sadly, what they thought they were looking for did not match the reality before them. For the Pharisees, recognizing Jesus as the Son of God, or even as a prophet, would have been significantly changing their life and choices. They were not willing to, or even open to exploring further who Jesus was. And for that reason, they stayed in their spiritual blindness. The conversation Jesus had with the man born blind illustrates the path that we need to take. Initially, the man did not know who Jesus was, but he knew and accepted there was something different here. He initially thought that Jesus was a prophet. This is understandable. But when Jesus asks him again, the man asks to know who Jesus is. He seeks to believe, and finally he sees. What would stop anyone from wanting to believe? I suspect fear keeps many from wanting to believe. What would be the cost? They may fear that their deepening faith would lead them to do things that they had not thought of. Having very rigid expectations of how God is supposed to act can interfere with a developing faith. I have spoken in the past about expectations before. While needed, expectations can also get in the way of us recognizing God in our midst. How could we avoid the mistakes the Pharisees made? To unpack this, Let's turn to a fascinating psychological concept, groupthink, developed by Irving Janis in his 1972 book, Victims of Groupthink. Janis, a Yale psychologist, analyzes disasters and the decisions made by leaders. He showed how tight-knit groups often prioritize harmony and consensus over critical thinking and truth, especially when they are insulated from outside views. Researchers Elijah Schnall and Michael J. Greenberg explored this in their article Groupthink and the Sanhedrin, published in the Journal of Management History. They noted that Israel's ancient high court, the Sanhedrin, actually had built safeguards to curb groupthink. But I wonder, did they go far enough? We see in today's readings the Pharisees' clear disdain for anyone challenging their authority, plus their stubborn refusal to face facts that contradicted them. Like classical groupthink, even dissenting Pharisees likely got shut down by the leaders. Today's gospel readings gives us a front row seat to groupthink in action. The man born blind clings to his growing faith in Jesus, but he pays a heavy price. He's thrown out by those who are spiritually blind. Yet, he keeps seeking Jesus anyway. The takeaway for anyone serious about spiritual growth? Expect resistance. Friends and family might not get it or feel too intimidated to support you. Much of the criticism will seem unfair, but that's part of the journey. The key is finding that sweet spot, standing firm in your beliefs while staying open to needed correction. Notice how neither Jesus nor the healed man lash out at the Pharisees. They just focus on their own growth. It's both a warning of what is ahead and a guide for moving forward. This group also warns religious groups about the dangers of an us versus them mentality. St. Paul tackles this head-on in his first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 1, verse 10 to 13, urging unity amid opposition. Truly spiritual people respect different views, listen openly to others' experiences, and stay curious. That final conversation between Jesus and the healed man, it shows curiosity about God is a powerful tool for spiritual growth. Thank you for joining me. Next Sunday, March 22nd, 2026, I'll reflect on John chapter 11, verse 1 to 45, where Jesus raises his friend Lazarus from the dead. New episodes are released every Sunday for the next week's gospel. A big thanks to Heather Patel Doherty and Richard Coulombe for their wonderful and supportive help. Questions or comments? Email me at peter.doherty, that's DOHERTYOMI @gmail.com. May God richly bless you all.